Things that we shouldn't ignore, things that we shouldn't tolerate. In fact, do you remember that song by the Manic Street Preachers? If you tolerate this, then your children will be next. In my last year of teaching, that actually coincided with the beginnings of the biomedical fascism in the UK in 2020. One of my students at the time, I remember talking to her about this, that maybe this is comeback for the things that we as Brits tolerated because it was affecting other people in the main, not us, so we tolerated it, that we shouldn't have tolerated. What I'm talking about here is obviously the 1.5 million people that were killed by our government, the British government in Iraq. Obviously after that Libya, before that Afghanistan. Other things that we tolerated that were pure nonsense, such as the murder of Dr. David Kelly by the UK government. That was just so transparently the case. I remember when that actually happened, because the lead up to all of this about Dr. David Kelly, he was the guy that blew the whistle on the sex dodgy dossier that Alistair Campbell had got some of his minions to construct, and it was just obvious that he'd been suicided. But we kind of tolerated it. We gave it a pass. Now, what I'm going to talk about now is things that are going on today that we shouldn't tolerate. So where I'm coming from this is that it's important that we learn from our mistakes. So we can't do anything about our lack of reaction to things that we shouldn't have tolerated in the past. But we can do something about things that are happening now, and we can voice our opposition to those things. So let's just talk about two things. First one, I'm going to put this in the same category, is this drones and talk of CGI aliens and Project Bluebeam. What I think we should do is just laugh at all of this stuff. I really hope that they're going to be stupid enough to go with these drones and CGI invasion and of aliens and hey bro, the aliens say that we need to have a one world government. Hey bro, the aliens say that if we don't stop eating meat and reducing our carbon emissions, they're gonna unleash a deadly contagious disease on us, bro. So we have to have digital rationing through social credit scores, bro. And the aliens say that we need a one world government, bro. It's just pathetic. We have to laugh at this stuff. It's fear-based, of course. That doesn't mean that there's not a possibility of maybe a false flag attack using drones, blaming that on Iran. Sometimes these false flag events actually do create real casualties. So I don't know, maybe they do set off some things that go bang, that hurt people somewhere. But what we mustn't do is to give in to their fear-based mind control. And I think it is, some of you guys don't believe in natural law, but they do, and that means that our consent matters to them. So they need to put us in a fear state so that we give our consent to things that we shouldn't tolerate and give our consent towards. So what do we do about that? Well, we just tell them. So you can do that by responding to them. I know some people will mock this, but it's important because they're very interested in what we think. That's why they monitor us. Hello, they do monitor us. So yeah, tell them what we think. Just laugh at it. With the CGI aliens and the drones and stuff. Just laugh at it. There are no aliens. There is no outer space. It's just a load of rubbish. Let's call it very politely. So we can do that through social media, replying to their controlled opposition that are trying to push this alien narrative. We can laugh at it. Even better, why don't some of you guys set up a YouTube channel, make some videos of your own? The other thing as well is that our TV sets, our computers, they're all hooked up to the internet. They have microphones inbuilt within them. That applies to your smart TV. So if you don't believe this, just look at this now. When they're running nonsense on either the news or maybe in, like using my laptop in the last about a week, there's been this weird EU advertisement. Finland's still in the EU. About how the EU promotes free speech and democracy. So guess what I do when that advert comes on? I just laugh. I just say, no way. It's the opposite. So tell them, because those devices, we can actually use them to communicate to them and tell them that we're not consenting to this stuff. And because they believe in natural law, they won't go ahead without our consent. The second thing that I want to talk about is how the veneer of democracy is being scraped away. It's their totalitarianism has been exposed completely. They want to. Democracy's not. It's not. Of course, you know about what I believe about democracy. It's the John Stuart Mill called it the tyranny of the majority. So at its best, it involves 51% deciding how 49% of people's money will be spent. But in practice, it's not even that. What it does amount to is you get to vote for the Uni Party, so there's no choice. And then the Uni Party, they promise various things in election manifestos. And then when they get into power, they just do whatever they want. So that's at its best. But even so, the big club doesn't even like that democratic accountability. Let's, it's just an oxymoron, isn't it? So things to look out for, right? So first of all, in Romania, there was an election, and Romania's High Court has annulled that election result. So this is another thing as well, isn't it? Populists. This is something that the so-called progressives, who are really authoritarians, this is something that they go on about. If you're progressive, that's a good thing. If you're populist, that's a bad thing. Populist means that a lot of people like your ideas. So in a democracy, shouldn't that mean that you win elections? Well, this is what's happened in Romania. A populist did win because the ideas that they put forward to the electorate prior to the election taking place were popular, and that's why they won the election. But the way that the progressives view that is that that's a bad thing, because the majority of people don't want the same things that the minority of progressives want. So they've got the High Court in Romania to annul the election result. So I'll just show you that now. In the UK, we've had Angela Rayner wants to, and Wiz Starmer, and they're just puppets anyway, but the official line is that local authority elections due to take place next year are going to be postponed. So this is a second example of the veneer of democracy falling away. They don't like democracy when populists win, when the people choose a manifesto or a party that promises things that they don't want. So what do they do about that? They just say it's not going to happen. Another classic example of that, of course, was Brexit, which took them years to enact. And when they did enact it, they didn't really enact it at all. So, if you think about the no laws and regulations have been changed by the UK government. We're still harmonised with the EU. So it's been Brexit in name only. Yeah, of course, things have changed on the migration front, but that was, basically that was about EU nationals, and it's just a punishment beating that's been meted out to UK citizens at the moment for daring to vote for the wrong thing. So at the time, this was upsetting me back in 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. It took them that long to do a Brexit in name only. The last example of this veneer of democracy falling away in the UK in particular is Harriet Harman giving an interview on Sky News. I'll just show you that now.
They came second in 89 seats to Labour. How worried should the party be about the threat, or the challenge, I should say, from Farage?
Well, I think people should be very concerned about reform, because they're not just a threat to individual parties, but I actually think they're a threat to democracy.
So she sees it's not a good idea. You see, democracy is about only featuring political parties on the ballot paper that have approved opinions. Like reform is one of their, it's just pantomime anyway in this case, but the fact that she's actually openly saying this is actually very, very worrying. Same as in Germany, where there's been calls to remove the AfD party from the ballot paper. I'll just show you that now. So again, we've got this illusion of democracy. Well, it's just vanishing rapidly, and we're moving towards a technocratic state where your role in society is just to do whatever the damn well things that you're told to do. Your role is just to be an obedient rule follower and just obey the government without question. It's basically the removal of freedom from servitude. In this new digital future, you'll be a digital peasant living in a digital feudalist society. So what can we do about it? First thing that we can do is just, as I said before, is just tell them. So tell them, speak to other people. We've got to speak up about it. We didn't speak out before when it was about illegal wars and killing people using our taxes in foreign countries. We didn't speak up when Dr. David Kelly was murdered by our own government. We need to learn our lessons from that. We need to speak up. So online, in front of your laptop, I know that might sound a bit crazy, but they do listen in front of your smart TV, because they do listen in. All of these things are hooked up to the internet. They'll collect all of that information. Do you remember there was Edward Snowden in Hong Kong? He basically did the, what do they call it, the limited hangout on that one. Years and years and years ago, he basically admitted that the US government snoops on its own citizens. They always have to tell us. So that's the first thing that we can do. We need to speak up and make a stand against this, and we need to do it publicly without the veil of anonymity. Second thing is that we need to start to starve this parasite. And the parasite in question here is the government. That's the way in which they enact control over us. So we just starve that of funds. So the trap that they want you to fall into here is just to not pay your council tax and all of that. And then what happens is that they take you to court, they laugh at your common law defence, and then they just steal your house and they throw you in prison. So that's not the way to go about things. What we can do is steal them, but do it lawfully, legally. And the way that we do that is by, first of all, paying down reduce consumption. With the money freed up, pay down debts as fast as possible. If you have a mortgage, let's say you have to pay the bank 1,500 quid a month, that means that you maybe need to earn £2,000 a month just to pay the interest on your mortgage and the mortgage repayment. So the faster that we can become financially independent and pay off our debts, then that means that you'll need less money to live. So that means that you don't need to work as many hours, you don't need to earn as much income, and therefore you don't need to pay these people as much tax. And as I've said to people on this channel thousands of times before, try to figure out a way of living your life pleasurably that doesn't involve moving swiftly to your next shopping destination and feeling a need to buy a new BMW every 3 years on leasehold, by oxymoron, to impress your neighbours. Like, get a life, enjoy nature, enjoy family. There are ways of enjoying yourself that don't involve partaking in their Babylon system of just crass materialism. Final thing is use cash. So yeah, keep on boycotting Arla. Keep on buying from small independent companies, and when you do so, always pay with cash. Always, always, always. That's something that's very, very easy that we can do, that will hull their plans below the waterline. You know, like a torpedo, sink their ship by constantly using cash. Never use card, because that will allow them to unveil their digital gulag, and we don't want to be part of that, do we? The second thing as well is don't be a turkey that votes for Christmas by going to self-checkouts. Go to the man checkouts. Again, just try to torpedo the system that they're trying to erect, and do that in a way that doesn't break their stupid laws. So we need to push back against them, but we need to push back against them in a very smart way, so that we don't get knocks on their doors from thugs dressed in black with like big sticks or tasers or worse. And it's not even the best way of doing it either. The best way of doing it is through actions that don't break any of their stupid laws, as I just said a minute ago. And yes, that's all I want to say today. So God bless.